Good morning. Let's start with the chanting. Let's chant together. Sahana Bhavatu, right? Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May the Supreme Spirit protect us. May the Supreme Spirit nourish us. May we work together with great energy. May our study be vigorous and fruitful. May love and harmony dwell amongst us. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto all. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Oh, peace, peace, peace be unto all. Good morning and Happy New Year. Good. So in this new year, we are starting a new chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And very important chapter. Name itself is so interesting. Raja Vidya, Raja Guhya, chapter 9. Raja Vidya means which is the best among the knowledge. And Raja Guhya means the best among the esoteric knowledge or mystery, or also means profound. The word Guhya has come from the word Guha. Have you heard about the word Guha? Means cave. So whatever inside a cave means it is in mystery. It also means it is profound. That is why it is hidden. Okay. So in both ways, we may take this chapter as esoteric. Sri Krishna will be saying something very mysterious. And another way, we may say, he will say something profound here. What we shall do, we shall not take the chapter as a whole as we do for other chapters. Rather, we shall take four important verses, four profound verses from Bhagavad Gita, very celebrated verses of Bhagavad Gita, and four profound teachings of Sri Krishna through these four verses. And we shall see that all that we need to know about spiritual life, about devotional life, can be found in these four verses. Okay. So in that way, these four teachings are profound. Let us go. So we shall start with this. Chapter 9 is kind of repetition of ideas that have already been dealt with in chapter 7. We have seen that, a part of chapter 8. That's why we are skipping the first 22 verses, but from taking only four very important, very celebrated verses from verse number 22 to verse number 34. Among these, we are taking four. Okay. So first verse number 22 at chapter 9. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janaha paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. This is wonderful verse, very celebrated verse. Sri Krishna also makes a promise here. He says, Ananya Chintayantam Ma, those devotees who have one-pointed devotion to me. That means for those for whom God is the end. God is the end of life, the ultimate goal of life. As we have seen earlier, Sri Krishna says that usually a devotee starts their spiritual journey, comes to God, and God has taken as means to end some goals, like take me out from these sufferings, or I want something. Maybe I want peace of mind. Even that is also a desire. Sri Krishna says, all right, but there comes a point in devotee's life when God is not a means for any other end. God is end in itself. We say that para bhakti, love for love's sake. Sri Krishna says that those who have one-pointed devotion to God, that is, those who don't forget the goal, that God is my ultimate goal, for them, I take care of everything. Since they are dependent on me, they have given everything for me. For such devotees, yoga and shema, these are two important words. Yoga is apraptasya prapanam, having something which I don't have, getting something, acquisition. And shema means preservation. Whatever I have, maintaining that, preserving that. So if we look at our life, much of our life is concerned about these two things: getting something new, getting something, acquire something, and preserve, maintain what we have. Sri Krishna says, for such devotees, I take care of everything. In our life, we see that we need help of others. For security, peace, happiness, indeed, we depend on others, but times comes when they might fail. I remember last year when there was wildfire and many homes were gutted down. The home insurers refused to pay. Those who were guaranteed to pay for any such calamity, they even did not want to pay. So Sri Krishna is trying to tell that any other dependence, any other source of security may not be reliable. But if we learn to depend on God, that will be an ultimate security. And for them, I take care of needs of all the needs. This is so mysterious a thing, that those who really depend on God, have one-pointed devotion from God, mysteriously their needs are fulfilled. If we look at the life of great devotees, that is what we find. In Sri Ramakrishna's life, we see whatever he felt the need of, mysteriously Divine Mother Kali supplied him with. For example, once a desire arose in his mind to create a fence around the sacred grove of Panchavati, 5 trees, so that he can do spiritual practices inside that grove, and he wanted to make fence, but where to get the stakes from? And next day he finds that some stakes come floating in the Ganges, and he is delighted to see those stakes, and he said, and throughout his life we see, whenever he intends to take any spiritual path, that is, wants to practice any particular spiritual discipline mysteriously, a teacher from that particular discipline comes to the Dakshineshwar temple and guides Sri Ramakrishna in his spiritual teachings. I was reading in Swami Vivekananda's life 2 days ago. His life is also full of such incidents. One example which Swami Vivekananda used to tell others with so much of emotion, which even brought tears to his eyes. In his wandering days, when he was wandering as a monk in India, he was traveling in North India, Uttar Pradesh, in train. He did not have any belongings with him. Someone purchased a railway ticket for him, and he was traveling somewhere. Destination, I don't know, it is not mentioned. And his co-passenger was a businessman who did not like the idea of a young man, educated young man, giving up everything in the name of God. So he was kind of, did not like the idea and scoffing rather. During the train journey, Swami Vivekananda felt thirsty but could not purchase water. And this gentleman, businessman, mocked Swami Vivekananda. Look, you have given up money and everything for God, but see, you cannot even now purchase water. You are going thirsty. Swami Vivekananda kept silent. Then the train halted at a station called Tari Ghat near Gazipur. And it was a long layover. In India, even nowadays, you will see that many trains have long layovers, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, so that passengers can get down, have some meal. So passengers got down. Swami Vivekananda was not only thirsty, hungry. And this gentleman purchased food from the platform, started eating, and again mocking at Swami Vivekananda. A contemptuous smile. He was looking at Swami Vivekananda, and Swami Vivekananda noticed that man and kept distance. Suddenly, Swami Vivekananda sees a person running towards Swami Vivekananda, and he opens up his sack and brings out sweets and chapatis, puris, says, Swamiji, Babaji, come here. This is for you. Swami Vivekananda was surprised. He said, you are probably mistaking me for someone else. I don't know you even. Are you sure it is for me? He said, yes, it is for you. I am a sweet meat vendor. So today, as it happens, probably it was summer day and there was not much business during the noon. After lunch, I was taking a nap in my shop. Suddenly, in my dream, I saw I am a devotee of Ramachandra, Sri Rama. I saw in my dream Sri Rama came and showed you, pointed to you, a sannyasi, just you, said, go, that sannyasi is hungry, bring food for him. So I woke up and thought it's a dream, it's just, figment of mind. So I slept again. And again the same dream came to my, same dream came. And then I thought there must be something behind this dream. And immediately I made some chapatis and already I have sweets in my shop. And just seeing you from distance, I could recognize you are the man Sri Rama was pointing me to. So Swami Vivekananda became overwhelmed and now looked at that businessman, this gentleman who was all along mocking him. And as the description goes, the man then comes to Swamiji and says, "Forgive me. I have noticed everything." That it opened my eyes that how God takes care of their devotees, Yoga and Shema. In fact, if we look at our own life, we will see that small or big, in small ways, in big ways, God has provided us many things and has taken care of many of our needs. We may not recognize at those moments. Later on, when we look back, we find that God really helped us by removing many obstacles from our spiritual life. Many of our Swamis in our order, they want to experience this total dependence on God exclusively. So from the very beginning of our history, monks go on for a year-long circumambulation of the river Narmada in central India, which is considered very holy a journey. And the journey is very difficult, very difficult. They walk on barefoot. Many of the places are dangerous, deep forest, infested with snakes, tigers, even highwaymen. But to experience these feelings, because everyone comes back and narrate their experience, that if we can totally depend upon God, how mysteriously God takes care of our needs. So many Swamis go on for this circumambulation. They start from the origin of the river, central India, walk all the way up to the confluence where the river meets the Arabian Sea. Then that is the only time they take a boat to cross over and again start from there to the origin. So it takes 1 year. And even some monks who are my contemporaries, some of them have taken this journey. And uniformly, all of them are overwhelmed with the experience that when, and during this circumambulation, they call the river Narmada as Mother, Narmada Mai. So the belief is strong there that if one relies upon Mother Narmada, Narmada Mother also takes care of her children. One Swami told me that one day he was walking from early morning because he wanted to cross a stretch of deep forest, which is known, infamous for highwaymen and many such things. And he did not get any alms, begging. He was begging, there was nothing, no food he got. So towards the end of the day, maybe a late afternoon, he was a bit frustrated and disappointed with Mother Narmada and also Holy Mother. And he said, "Today I am not going to eat anything if I don't get a feast. Let me see, are you real Mother or just people's belief? Or it is just a matter of faith?" So he went on. He said around 3 p.m. when he was very hungry and at a place which is very remote. There was no settlement around. Suddenly he saw a family and telling, Babaji, Swamiji, come here. We have brought food for you. He was surprised, happy of course, but surprised. He said, why food? They said, we had a celebration in our house, an auspicious thing happened in our family, and we wanted to feed a wandering monk. And so we have prepared many things, but we are not finding any monk around. We are waiting here, and now we are very elated to see you. Please come and have the food. Swami was very happy. He said, okay, prepare, arrange plates and things. I will be there in a moment. So he went and took a dip in river Narmada and asked for forgiveness of Mother Narmada. I wanted to taste you. I wanted to taste you. And he comes back and he says, delicious items, maybe 10 or 15 items are all arranged for him. So he said to me that many such experiences happens. So mysteriously, those who not only totally depends upon God, but also who are trying to depend upon God, who are trying to sincerely follow spiritual life, God mysteriously removes the obstacles many ways and take care of their needs. So this is a celebrated verse. It is Sri Krishna's promise that who would seek spirituality sincerely, I will take care of their needs. Why it is so? Why it is so? As I said in 7th chapter, we saw that Sri Krishna says, many people come to me with different motives. Some to get rid of suffering. Some for some desire, they want something, come to God. Some are curious about God, Jiggasu. And some love God because they cannot do anything else. They love God because it has become their nature. And I gave an example. And there Sri Krishna said that I love all of these people, all of them who want spirituality. They are virtuous people. They are trying to lead spiritual life. And I love all of them. But among all of them, I love them the most who are totally unto me. And at that time, if you remember, I gave the example of, a rough analogy that many people come to this country as some come as asylum seeker. They want to escape something, come to US. Some comes for opportunities, the dreamers. Some love this democratic system and wants to see how it is to be here. Some are citizens here. Okay, so government has duty for all of these people, but government has special love and duty and responsibility for the citizens. That's why we see that some of the relief, some of the stimulus, economic help are reserved for the citizens. All the government loves everybody, but government has a special love or responsibility for the citizens. So also, God loves all who wants to come to God, but those who are totally dependent on God, God loves them so much, God takes care of their needs. So that is one important verse to remember. It is Sri Krishna's promise. Those who want God, wants to progress in spiritual life, God mysteriously removes the obstacles from their path in small ways, in big ways. Then, another important verse, 27. This is the essence of bhakti. This says that spiritual life is not different from so-called secular life. You can you can spiritualize your entire life. What is that verse? Yat karoshi yadasnasi yat juhosi dadasi yat tapassasi kaunteya tat purushva madarpanam. So whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever spiritual practice you do, whatever charity you do, whatever hard work you do, try to dedicate, try to offer all of these to me. This is the essence of bhakti. Essence of bhakti. Whatever you are trying to do, try to offer unto me. And it is not an easy thing, we know. Probably we know about this, trying to offer everything to God, but how to do it? The problem is when we try to impose this kind of practices, it appears to be punitive. And we fail every moment, which is disappointing to us. So it is better to come this mood, this feeling, attitude of surrender naturally. The problem is it does not come naturally. It does not come naturally. So what to do? So we have to be creative about this. We have to be creative about this. How? Whatever we are doing, how we can really offer it to God. I was thinking in this way that offering whatever we are doing to God is very abstract something. So we need something more concrete to offer. How to do that? So I thought one creative way might be assign flowers for each type of work. Okay. So my office work, let me assign camellia. Food I take, the activity of eating, making food, let me assign the flower of, say, hibiscus. And charity I do, let me assign the flower, whatever you like, mom or whatever. And every day, try to mentally offer, those flowers. One hibiscus, one camellia, one moms, one carnation, whatever I like, I try to offer it mentally just as flowers. And if we have a flower garden in our house and have an altar, all the better. We can pluck the flowers and say 4 flowers I am plucking and assigning. This is all the work. This stands for all the office work I did. This stands for everything I did to maintain my body. This is everything I did for my family. And offering each of these flowers mentally to God. Okay. And I see, when I thought this way, then I started seeing that it is not a very new idea. If you have paid attention during our special puja days, I do a dhyana mantra, a manasa puja, mental worship. Vidpadmam asanam dadvat sahasaro chutamritei. That is a mental worship, which is a very high level of worship, mentally offering everything to God. Towards the end comes that I am offering God 5 flowers. Which are these 5 flowers? Ahimsa paramam pushpam, pushpam indriya nigraham, daya pushpam, shama pushpam, jnana pushpam cha panchamam. I am offering 5 flowers. What are these 5 flowers? Apart from the 10 flowers which I have already offered, 5 flowers is non-violence, harmlessness. Consider it to be a flower. Then compassion is a flower. Then discipline, the discipline that I am doing, trying to control myself, take it to be a flower. And wisdom, knowledge, all these are a flower, and all these flowers I am offering to you mentally. So this idea, the point is we need to be creative about how, we have to find our own way how we really can offer. And whenever we remember, we may not remember all the time. Once in a while we might remember. We need to offer. We would like to offer whatever we are doing to my beloved. Swami Brahmananda ji, the one disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, he used to say that, he said that in spiritual life, first there remains two things, work and worship. This is your work and this is your bhakti practices, worship. Then you try to convert work as worship. That is, you are trying to do your work as if this is your worship, remembering it as an offering to God. And finally, work is worship. Your work becomes worship to God. And he said, how to do that? He said, one way could be this. Before starting a work, a particular activity, just before starting, think of God only once. Just remember, don't have to do anything. Then at the middle, take a moment and think of God. At the end, when you are done with, again think of God. Okay. And you will fail for sure, but don't worry about that. If you can keep on doing it for some time, you will find that a attitude of surrender and offering all of your work is coming spontaneously at your mind. Many people I know, when they are doing something which does not require much of their attention, they keeps on chanting their mantra, repeating their mantras. These are several ways how we can offer our everything to God. And this is the essence of bhakti. This is the essence of bhakti. Ultimately, offering everything to God. We are studying in our Friday study class Narada Bhakti Sutras, a very authentic book on devotion. And there, Narada comes to this point again and again. What is devotion? Total surrender to God. How they come? By piecemeal surrender. First it is an effort, maybe even mechanical. Slowly it becomes habitual, then it becomes spontaneous. Then we don't have to think even, because life has become a kind of surrender. So essence of bhakti. And it is difficult, as I said, to offer everything to God. We forget to offer, even mechanically. But it is not impossible. It is not impossible. I want to give just one example. Some of you might have heard the name of Swami Gambhirananda, who was the president of our Ramakrishna order and a very revered monk. We are grateful to him because he was the first one who translated Shankaracharya's commentary from Sanskrit to English of all the 11 Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Sutra. And even now, if you go to India and any traditional place where they want to refer to English translation of Shankaracharya's Sanskrit commentaries, they refer to Swami Gambhirananda's book. After that, many people have translated, but no book is so authentic as Swami Gambhirananda. So Swami Gambhirananda ji, once he was in charge of the accounts department of our headquarters at Belur Math. And some of you may know, at headquarters in Belur Math, all the work done by the monks. There's no employees. So, and it's a huge account in terms of transactional. And at the end of the year, closing the accounts for that year is a big thing. It's indeed a big thing. And Swami Gambhiranandaji once, at the end of a year, had to tally the account. For tallying the account, he worked whole night. Started from 6 p.m. after the Vesper and worked till 7 a.m. sitting on the same desk. And when he finished it, one monk who came to serve him tea asked him, "How are you feeling, Swami, working 12 hours at a stretch?" He said, "I did Kali Puja." Kali Puja is something, goes for whole night. Not here. In traditionally, a full Kali Puja goes from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. Whole night thing. He said, "I did a Kali Puja." So it is not easy to surrender everything, offer everything to God, but it is not impossible. Third verse. This is also a very important verse, and here also Sri Krishna makes a great promise. He says, "Shipram bhavati dharmatma shashat shantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashvati." He says, what happens to a person who turns towards God? Bhavati dharmatma. That is, he or she starts living a dharmic life, a value-based life, a life based on morals and principles. It is not that it is not that without believing in God or turning to God, it is not possible to lead a dharmic life. That is also possible. Here Sri Krishna says, "Shipram bhavati." Quickly. One who turns towards God and some amount real love has started dawning in their heart, they start living a dharmic life, a values-based life. Why it is so? Can you give me any answer? Why is it so? Why, as soon as someone sincerely comes to spiritual life, they also starts living according to dharma or morality or values? Do you have any idea why? Go on, try.
Because they see God in other people, I think.
Yeah, that's an understanding that grows that God is in everything, so I should be compassionate, moral to others, ethics. That could be one thing. What I experienced that as soon, and this is my explanation, and this is not an exclusive, I find that when someone turns toward God or starts taking interest in spiritual life, their mind becomes subtle, sensitive, opposite to blunt minds, insensitive minds. And when mind becomes subtle and sensitive, it naturally resonates with moralities, dharmas, values. Spontaneously it happens. They don't have to tell themselves, "I should not do this. This is dharma, this is adharma." Mind naturally, when it becomes subtle and sensitive because of coming to God, coming to spirituality, mind naturally understands what is right, what is wrong. Okay, and that is why we intuitively feel this thing. We very often ask this question, that man is religious so much, but why not so moral? That means in our mind, we have this idea that one who comes to God, one who's turned to spirituality, who has stepped into the world of spirit must be moral too, right? Very often we say this, that what is the point? I see such a man, such religious person, religiously does, but in his life, in his life or her life, I don't find him to be a moral person, a dharmic person. So in our mind we know, although we don't know why, that someone who has turned to spirituality, to God, they must be moral. Okay. So Sri Krishna says, who turns to God, they become Shipram. Very quickly they starts living, or at least tries to live a moral life, a dharmic life. And Shat Shat Shantim Nigacchati. That is very interesting. Shat Shat Shantim Nigacchati. That is, they also experience an inner peace, which is very permanent. Shanti, a peace, comes to their mind. Why it is so? Because they start feeling that I have a permanent security in God, who will not fail. Starts intuiting this. Secondly, many other desires fall from the mind of such a person. Okay, because the root of peace is cessation of desire. It is a simple equation. If you want peace, lessen your desire. Because of desires, the more desires one has, less peaceful one would be. This is simple equation. Swami Bhuteswarananda ji, who was our president, and very jovial and very approachable monk, and he was president for many years. So many devotees, as in India, used to come, and one common thing, Swami, can you tell me how I can be peaceful, I can have peace of mind? He used to say, it is very simple. Get rid of your desires. Get rid of desire. So a devotee who has started turning to God, suddenly many desires appear to be now valueless, too mundane. Okay. It's not that they are totally free of desires, but some of the desires which you are troubling them, for which they were aspiring, had tension for, anxious for, to fulfill those desires, they just fall off from their mind. That is one of the reasons why Shat Shat Shantim Nigacchati, they attain a inner peace, which is unshakable inner peace. Inner peace is something which is difficult to convey, only can be felt, someone has felt. It is a peace that is within you, which cannot be shaken by external circumstances. You may be going through ups and downs, you might be going through many troubles and calamities even, but there is a sense of peace within you which is unshakable. That is inner peace, and devotees get a glimpse of this inner peace. That is what Sri Krishna says. And he says something very important in the next sentence. Prati janihi kaunteya. Krishna, know this. Not only know this, broadcast this. Prati janihi means you know and also tell others. Name bhakta pranashyati. A devotee of God does not come to peril. Does not come to peril. That is, they are not destroyed. In what sense? That is, in day-to-day life or even in mundane life, they may go through ups and downs, but their spiritual growth will never be obstructed. Rather, through all these sufferings or ups and downs of life, bhakta, a devotee, will rather grow spiritually. That is a promise of Sri Krishna. The Name Bhakta Pranashyati. My devotees, sincere spiritual seekers, spiritual journey does not come to a halt, no matter what it is. It's a celebrated quote that Krishna not only know this, tell others. It is so certain a thing. If you have come to God, know for sure that you are saved from many things. One of them is your spiritual growth is guaranteed. Your spiritual growth is guaranteed. There is no stop in that. Finally, he says in the last verse, this is, we may say, a verse which says the stages through which a seeker goes and ultimately becomes one with God. The 5 stages of a devotee's journey towards God. Manmana bhava mad bhakto matyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishvasi yuktaivam atmanam matparayanaha. So the words are scattered. If we arrange them in this way, mad bhakto bhava, one who has turned to God, even for God as a means for something. They want to, has come to God to fulfill some other desires. Okay, bhakta, no wrong in it. Even, all the polls, all the findings study has shown, religious people are happier than their counterparts. That is the first thing. You have turned to God. Then, mat parayanaha, slowly you have come to that point when mat parayanaha, that is, I am the paramhayana. God becomes your ultimate goal. Earlier, God was a means to reach other goals. Now, God has become central goal of your life. Mat parayanaha. Third, manmana. Not only God has become your final goal, but you never lose sight of the goal. You never lose sight of the goal. This is present in your subconscious mind almost all the time. Manmana bhava. Your mind, a part of your mind is always in me. Then matyaji, that is, whatever you are doing, as we saw, yat karoshi yadasnasi, that is, whatever you are doing, through all of this, you are just remembering me. Matyaji, that is, every moment of your life you are trying to connect with God. Every moment you are taking as an opportunity for your spiritual growth. Matyaji. Then final thing, this is very important. One who goes through these things, stages, they are growing spiritually. And it is a sad thing, but it is a fact that a devotee, a spiritual seeker, when grows spiritually, comes a stage when there is a spiritual vanity. It often takes place in mind, a spiritual vanity, that I am more spiritual than others, because they are seeing these results are taking place in their mind. And this is one of the final obstructions, and a very difficult obstruction, when one starts feeling holier than thou, that I have grown so much spiritually. And it expresses in different ways. We start to evaluate people in terms of, rajasic, tamasic, sattvic. We start feeling, I am very sattvic, this person is rajasic, this person is tamasic, this person is not sophisticated enough, fine enough, and that is the end of spiritual growth. When we think, if I think I am spiritual enough, that is the end of spiritual life, because we are not even aware where problem is. That happens. That is very sorrow and sad thing that it happens. And that is the final, they say, final frontier. So, Sri Krishna reminds the devotee, Mam Namaskuru, bow down to me. That is, acknowledge the fact that all that spiritual growth that has taken place in you is through God's blessing alone. Lord blessings alone, not only your contribution. Okay, so become humble about your spiritual growth. That is called grace, sign of grace. When this is the point where grace ascends or descends, we understand that all of our spiritual life or growth is due to God's blessing or grace. I don't own much of it. A part of it is only my credit. All the credit goes to God. Mam namaskuru. And yukto evam atmanam. If you have gone through these spiritual paths, stages, sadhanas, practices, mam evam eshvasi, you will come to me. That is, finally, we will become one with God. We will understand there is no difference, no distinction. Nothing is standing between you and God, which is the goal of all faith, all religion. Bhakti or jnana or karma, yoga, any faith tradition, becoming one with God. With this, he ends. So, as I said, this chapter is deals with esoteric knowledge in the sense of profound. And 4 important verses. What we learned that first, God said that who are trying to grow spiritually, who are trying to have one-pointed devotion to God, I take care of their needs. And these needs are met quite mysteriously. And even we may not recognize. It takes time to recognize how all these obstacles were removed from our life, from our spiritual path. Then he says the ultimate of bhakti, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever efforts you make, try to offer all of them to God, which is not easy, but it is possible. It is not impossible, and we have to try, take baby steps in that direction. Then he says that one who turns to God, very soon they start living a dharmic life and gets inner peace. And no matter what happens with them, their spiritual growth is not disturbed. That is a Name Bhaktar Pranashyati. My devotee does not perish or come to peril. Finally, he says the sadhanas, all the sadhanas or stages through which a devotee passes before becoming one with God. First, turning to God, taking little bit of interest in God. Secondly, knowing that God is the ultimate goal. Third, keeping that ultimate goal in mind, not losing sight of that. Then, taking every moment as an opportunity for spiritual growth. Then, finally, understanding that all these sadhanas and all this growth was due to God's grace alone. And that is the stage of divine grace. One becomes humble and surrenders to God. Namaskuru, that is showing prostration or doing prostration before God. If one goes through these stages, one finally becomes one with God, which is the goal of spiritual path, which is true for any tradition, any yoga, any path. That was 9th chapter. Next chapter is also important. Vibhuti Yoga, God's glories. We shall see that next month. We shall do the closing chant. Then I can take a few questions if you have. Om Madhuvata Ritayate Madhukshadanti Sindhavaha Madhi Irna Santoshadhihi Madhunaktam utoshasi madhumat parthivagam rajaha madhudau astuna pita madhumano vanaspatir madhumagam astu suryaha madhvir gavo bhavantu naha Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Sweet blow the winds and the oceans give forth blessedness. May the herbs and plants bring us health and happiness. Sweet unto us be the nights and dawns. May every particle of Mother Earth be charged with blessing. May the heavens shower us with benediction. Sweet unto us be the noble forest trees. Sweet unto us be the shining sun. Sweet unto us be all living creation. Om, sweetness, harmony, peace. Yes. If you have any comments or question, anything to share, you are welcome. Yes, Jack.
It's out there to share this. It seems like every day I have mysterious experiences. Those are mysterious only if you don't believe in God. For instance, I don't have jeans on today because my pair of jeans are too dirty to wear. So I thought I'll just go in the closet and get another pair. Well, there aren't really in the closet. And I walked here from El Camino and go to the gas station to get a coffee. When I'm walking out, there's 3 pair of clean jeans on the ground. I don't know if they fit or not.
Did you take any one of them?
Hmm?
Did you pick any one of the jeans?
No, but I might on my way back. If they're still there.
Okay.
So
God provided you, but even you did not choose.
Huh?
Okay. God provided to you.
I mean, what is the likelihood of this happening?
Yes. Good to know that. This happens. Yes.
And then you did a
We fail to
mysterious,
take notice.
thing yourself here. You didn't know it.
Yeah, we sometimes
You
fail
chose
to
chapter
take
9,
notice.
verse 22.
What's that?
Yeah, I think you earlier in your talk you said chapter 9, verses 22.
Yeah.
That's my birthday, 9/22.
Oh, great. That's another mystery. That's profound. Any other?
I guess that's profound. And I see my job used to be probability and statistics.
Yes.
That is happenings, you know. These aren't coincidences,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Any other question or comments from anyone else? Yes.
I appreciate the talk because so often when New Year's comes, people make resolutions and they're usually more, I'm guessing, more to do with worldly things.
Yeah, so you may think that this talk may serve as a New Year resolution, turning towards God or going through the other stages. Good perspective. Okay.
Just one.
Yes, go ahead.
So how do we increase bhakti so that we go away from a desire and seek only God for the sake of God?
It happens very slowly. We cannot impose it. That is what Sri Krishna was telling, how slowly. For example, giving the example of how if we start offering our all actions towards God, and it happens bit by bit. I give the example, it is just like the growth of stock market stocks, ups and downs. Then you see over the years you are growing slowly. And all the practices are only for that. We grow, slowly we grow. But if you ask me, really, the quickest way to grow in devotion has the company of other devotees. Okay, Narada Bhakti Sutras deals with all the practices of bhakti. And Narada finally tells, the chief means for having spiritual growth or growth in divine love is to have the company of other devotees. It is so true. It is so true. From my own experience, I am telling, nothing is more effective in helping to grow spiritually or have devotion is to have company, real holy company of other devotees. Substitution of that, holy thoughts, holy books, even devotional songs. So the more we dwell on these ideas, the more we start liking them. Did I see a hand raise? No. All right, thank you. See you again.